Welcome, everybody, to another live recording of the Business Travel 360 Linking the Travel Industry podcast, where we discuss travel industry news you're talking about on LinkedIn. My name is Rian, and I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a co-founder at Agentivity, where we provide operational reporting and data automation solutions for travel sellers. If that sounds of interest, please get in touch and I can tell you more. As usual, I'm joined by Ash and Anne to help me discuss our list of stories. So over to you, Anne.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Anne. I'm an independent consultant with LeapShift and happy to help you with anything related to retailing, one order, NDC. Over to you, Ash.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ash. I'm the host of a weekly business travel podcast called What's Up at Business Travel, where we give you only the important updates in under 15 minutes. Additionally, I'm the Vice President of Client Success at Traxo, and this is Linking the Travel Industry.
So we are actually going to start the list of stories with the news that Sabre was in the news twice last week. And to help us comment on this, Richard from Sabre has kindly agreed to join us today. So they were in the news for two reasons. One was the fact that they've sold their hospitality business to an asset firm called TPG. So they've raised about $1.1 billion of cash there. And Richard is not going to comment on that story. But before we ask him for the second story, which if you are joining us today, where you can see the graphic on the screen, is about the Grey Doors news. We'll get to that in a second. And let's start with you on the comment of the hospitality business sale. What do you make of it?
Well, I think it's a great cash injection, and it's no secret that I've said many times that I really think that Sabre should distinguish itself from Amadeus, not to be sort of same, but do things perhaps a little differently. Personally, I would like to see Sabre becoming that PSS that is a win-win PSS for airlines. And of course, for agents to become that win-win solution as well. That is your next story.
So look, my take on the story is so different. And I know we have Richard here on the call. The fact that Sabre is selling such an important piece of their business makes me a little bit nervous. The idea that we're going to get rid of the hospitality solutions group, but the fact that hotels is the most successful and revenue generating piece of the business for TMCs.
Well, let's talk about the story that Richard can comment on, which is the exciting news that Grey Doors Travel have announced that they will make Sabre their global exclusive GDS provider. So to join us today, Richard, if you can do a quick intro and just tell us, how did this deal come about and what were the reasons that Grey Doors decided on Sabre?
First, thanks for having me back, Rian, and great to be here. Richard Viner, Head of UK Corporate at Sabre. Firstly, thanks for the views on the hospitality business. Really interesting to see two totally different views, and I'd love the chance to comment on that one, but we're going straight into Grey Doors and Sabre. So for me, it's really interesting because when I joined Sabre last year, the team were already 4 years into the pursuit of the business and had spent certainly the last 5 years now basically building up different champions in the business, really understanding the pain points. And when you dig into that a little bit more, when I came on board, what I learned from someone like Dave Bishop, so the MD of Europe, was he's been in business now, certainly in the B2B side of business, 20 years. And when he joined, he saw that 20 years ago, travel agencies were literally just seen as distributors of content, pulling content from the GDS or different supply channels. And the team, Suzanne Horner, CEO, supported by the ELT, had a really clear vision, which is to accelerate its next phase of growth. And they don't shy away from, the buy and build strategy or through significant investment in organic growth. So they want to prioritize their investments in innovation to better serve their clients worldwide and to have that consistency. So they were looking to be the TMC like Amazon, so the complete marketplace. So there's really a couple of things they were looking for. One was basically intelligent content to slim down the number of connections they had within the business to access real-time content from multiple sources. So that's LCC, NDC, EDIFACT, rail, car, and all different products. But the ancillary part is that as well, as part of that shop and book. Number two was strategic partnerships. So that they are a Atris partner, strong in terms of the booking tool across their markets, UK, Netherlands, Australia, and US. They were looking for a partner that also aligned on value creation and collaboration and investment, as well as the NDC goals, so that they can shops book and serve through that. And then thirdly, they're massively investing in automation and AI. So this is both on the lodging AI, this is also on workflow AI to simplify that because they want better unit economics, greater productivity from their agents, and more efficiency in their operational workflow. So they're looking for those three main things, which are just simplicity in content, the ability to shop and book, strategic partnerships, and then automation and AI.
That was brilliant. So thank you very much, Richard. I don't know whether Anne or Ash has a question. And also just a reminder for those in the audience, if you have a comment or a question, please feel free to put that on the screen.
I think that this move by Dawes with Sabre is a brilliant move. I think it's exactly what the TMC market needs. We've been taught that in the industry that, you want to go with the GDS with the best content in the markets and all that kind of stuff. But that leads to so many levels of complications within the processes that the TMC has to follow up on, back office systems, et cetera, et cetera. So this standardization is going to really, really help. It's going to come with some challenges in the beginning, of course, as we expect them to. But as time goes on, those challenges will start to diminish. And of course, getting the agent buy-in is going to be quite a difficult part in the countries where Sabre was not the norm. But then the good news is that you're bringing a GDS that is superior to any other GDS in the marketplace. And so the agents would love it once they start to get to know it a little bit better. So this is a great move by Dawes and really, really amazing work by Sabre.
Thanks, Ash. Just to add a comment on that, it's really interesting because the conversation moved from content, so what does your NDC roadmap look like, to an agent conversation, which is how do you now service that? What happens when things go wrong? How can we be high tech and high service? So they really looked into that shop, book, and serve element of, as well as the NDC roadmap. The NDC roadmap ticked the box, but it was the service and keeping their agents happy that they knew would keep the health of their customers happy.
Well, and the ability to transfer calls between different markets and to have the agents pick up calls from different markets and serve the same PNR, that's a sun never setting concept. Beautifully done.
I want to add the same thing. I think this is a fabulous move. Like I said, I really hope that this is a step towards sort of differentiation between the GDSs. And I think it's a great opportunity for Sabre to learn more about the TMC market. And I love embracing all sorts of content. It has to become more open to be able to do that.
Richard, congrats again to Sabre for this. Now the hard work starts, as you know. There's going to be a lot of work there, but good luck with that, and we will follow this with interest. Thank you for joining us today and giving us your time. Another story that picked up my interest and actually got a lot of comments as well, that there's a statistic now available that there's been a 40% increase in issues relating to mobile devices and other electronics that fall into specifically movable seats, like these newer business class seats. And the most recent incident was about a Lufthansa A380, quite a large airplane, that had to divert because there was an iPad stuck in the seat. And of course, the risk there is if the seat movement causes that lithium battery to implode or impress, it will cause a fire hazard. So that little incident cost them $80,000. Very interesting development, and I want to make, if there's time, a quick comment that I bumped into Alexandra Vukolova at the ATM in Dubai, and we talked about this, and we talked about how clever Finnair is with their business class product, because there is no movable part in that seat. It's a fixed seat, right? And so they don't have these issues, and they have the weight advantage on the other stuff, so that was quite clever. But Ash, what do you make of this? Is this something we need to, how can we fix this and address this?
I think everybody should be forced to turn in the devices when they enter the plane.
Yes.
And enjoy the in-flight movies.
Yes, there should be a box with a lock, right? As you walk in, you have to lock your stuff in there. Revolut is not standing still. Well, there's news about them taking on American Express cards with a specific, reward product that's going to be aimed at travel. Ash, I want to come to you on this first. What are your thoughts?
Good luck trying to take on American Express.
Okay.
That's definitely a big hill to climb on. Maybe the expectation should be a little bit less than that, but I guess you want to go in with gust.
They might.
Yeah, they might. The idea of reward, of course, is not a new idea, and it's been something that American Express has built their brand on. So Revolut has a long way to go. Anytime you can earn something for spend or for flying, I'm a big fan of it. The idea is not to replicate, Rian, right? If you try to replicate what American Express does, then maybe you're just going to keep doing the same old. I'd like to see them do something totally different, totally unique.
Those boys at Revolut are not going to replicate, right, Anne? They're going to do something different.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to replicate. And I saw some of these announcements in Madrid at the Actuary conference, and I am so impressed.
I saw a comment by Gavin Smith from Elements saying he's had some bad experiences trying to talk to somebody at Revolut, and, he's had success at MX Cards. So he was saying they have to fix that part as well. But we're going to be following with interest to see what they do here that's different, really. Because I agree with you, Ash, they shouldn't replicate, but I don't expect them to. I think they're going to be quite different.
I mean, I look at the second bullet point in the post, the one-to-one swap for airline miles. I mean, that's fine, but let me tell you, from a consumer perspective, it's not interesting enough. When you see 10x and 20x and 100x everywhere else, and then Revolut comes out with 1x, it's kind of like loser, right? They have have some work to do there.
This was a report by Skift. We saw that 5 board members at Brand USA were quite quickly removed from their posts. Ongoing development here. The Skift story dives into it in a bit more detail, so you can go and read that on the Skift site. And I think you know some of these people. Quite shocking, right?
I do. It was quite shocking. And I mean, I know Elliot Ferguson since when I lived in DC, and I can't think of anyone being a better brand CEO than Elliot. So I was very, very deeply shocked by this.
Another story that hit the headlines last week is about Uniglobe Travel expanding their footprint in a deal with the International Travel Partnership, ITP. Good for them. I don't think any of us has got further comments on this. I know some of the guys at Uniglobe, so as the story develops, I could always ask them to come and comment for us on this and tell us more about this deal. Just before we take on to the next story, I just want to turn to the audience and say thank you for giving us your time on a Monday. We do appreciate that. It is a holiday in many countries today, especially thank you for that. The purpose here at Linking the Travel Industry is to get more of us to be connected. So if you want to, tell us where you're listening from or say hi or give us a wave and we'll put your name on the screen and maybe you'll get some additional connection requests today. But it's always nice to hear as to where you are listening from and we appreciate you giving us your time. We have mentioned this before, the African Space Agency. We have talked about them before, but what's happened now really is that they've officially opened its business. So, Ash, are you ready to go and check out that looks like really nice building, those headquarters, see what they're up to?
Absolutely. This is totally up my alley, as you know, and I think this is a great move. I love the fact that the headquarters is in Egypt.
Yep.
We all know that the aliens landed there first when they came to Earth. This is so significant in so many ways, and I love it. Congratulations to the African Space Agency.
And then we have 2 stories that I want to bring up together because they both involve JetBlue. The first one is American Airlines is apparently suing JetBlue. I'm not sure entirely what for, but maybe she will tell us about that. And then there's also the news that there's a bit of love in the air between United and JetBlue, and there's some strong rumors. I think they're a bit more than rumors now about a potential partnership here between the two. Let's start with Ash. Why is American suing JetBlue?
It's kind of like this, Rian. So imagine that you're about to get married to somebody and you're in the final days of getting married. And then the person you're going to marry decides that they don't want to marry you anymore.
Oh.
And then you hear that they're going to marry somebody else. So typically in that scenario, people wouldn't be so excited about that. They're going to lose their mind a little bit. So we see American losing their mind and turning that into a lawsuit because they see JetBlue through the eyes of, you were going to marry me. We agreed to getting married. Yes, the judge gave us a little bit of a hard time, but we could have overcome it together because we love each other and we're going to make this work no matter what. But then JetBlue decides, no, this is too difficult for me. I'm going to go with the easy route of marrying somebody else because there is no pushback. So that's really what this is all about. And, JetBlue is doing what's right for them. But at the same time, Americans going to feel spited the whole way through.
Yeah, well, it's only $1 million they're asking for, so they didn't really value it too much. Yeah, interesting development. Like I said, it seems to be more than just a rumor now. And then a story where, again, I'm looking for my surprise look music. I just don't have it anymore. But apparently, Lufthansa is going to stop selling the onboard physical duty-free stuff with the trolley coming up and down the aisle, etc. Now, the reason why I'm surprised about this, I can't believe they were actually still doing it. Really, that was my thinking, because the other Middle East airlines, I know specifically Qatar, they stopped this a long time ago. And what they do instead is you can buy electronically and, get things delivered and buy online and get it delivered. Or they obviously push you to buy at the Doha airport, where they've partnered up so well with the airports. And as we know, when you land there, you get the text to say your miles have kicked in and you can go shop. I don't know where you guys stand, but the amount of times that trolley has come past and nobody stops it, right? Nobody says, oh, yes, of course. I've flown so many times. I very, very rarely see people buy off the trolley. So, and I mean, was it just me or is this a bad move, right? I mean, they should. Okay.
It's not. I don't think I've ever bought anything on board Lufthansa.
Yes.
Ever. And I mean, sell stuff on board that people, looking for.
I think the last story on my list, if I'm not mistaken, is about it's sort of a combination of stories, really, because Virgin Atlantic used to fly to Tel Aviv and they were looking at reviving that route post the pandemic, and they've decided not to. And then Turkish and Pegasus, who both fly to Tel Aviv at the moment, have decided they will stop flying there entirely. So 3 major airlines not returning to Tel Aviv. Ash, are we surprised about this?
We're not surprised. Just this morning, there was a news that there was a missile that hit the airport in Tel Aviv, and a lot of airlines had to return flights back to their origin destination. So terrorism and travel don't mix. There is definitely a huge concern for those airlines because the last thing anybody wants or needs is a news that has some devastation in it with their airline name.
And do you have an extra story?
I do.
Okay.
I found it very interesting with European airframer Deutsche Aircraft. So they're unveiling the first of the testbed aircraft for reduced emissions. I've seen comments saying that this will become the sort of European workhorse, etc. Super interesting. And the story is there on the post.
So I think that might be a wrap. So thank you so much to Richard for joining us from Sabre. We really appreciate that. Thank you for that. And for the others making comments, appreciate that. And checking on our graphics as well, Stefan, thank you for that. And to Ian listening from Malaga, thank you. Over to you, Anne.
Thanks, everybody. And a special thanks, of course, to Richard Viner for joining us today. To all of those who are interacting and commenting. Over to you, Ash.
Thank you all for joining today's live recording of Linking the Travel Industry. We record this podcast live every week on Monday, and we ask that you share this event with others that you know. Chances are high that if you enjoyed today's session, those that you know will as well. If you ever miss a show because of time zone or availability, we make the podcast available on businesstravel360.com. This is Linking the Travel Industry, signing off.